YouTube. I have tried a few times to make this video, but I am sick and I keep coughing and interrupting myself, and it's terrible. And I'm probably going to cough again, but I'm going to try not to. I thought it might be kind of fun to do a video where I use Bogren Digital for as many things as possible. And what I landed on was amp knob on all my guitars with a few plugins here and there to achieve specific things that amp knob by itself can't do. Bass knob on the bass, of course, and Krimh Drums, their drum library they put out. Now, I did use one of their impulse responses instead of the built-in cab that's in amp knob, specifically for my rhythm tones, and that's just a preference thing, and I will get into why. So, as you can see, this is not a very complicated song. I've got a bass track. I've got a drum track. To be clear, the bass is Gin Bass, Submission Audio. If you don't know who they are, they're sick. Most people, especially in the metal community, probably already know. So I shouldn't have to say too much about it, but they make some great libraries. Gin Bass is the instant metal bass one, you know. However, I'm not using any of their built-in processing, so it's just the DI signal coming straight out, and that is going to bass knob right here, and that's it. So that's my whole bass tone. One library, one plugin, right? The point of this video is to kind of show that you don't have to do too much to get your idea across. For drums, I'm using everything is routed the way that I normally do, but I can show you that there's no crazy processing going on. I'm using Jin's Mumble Pants preset that comes with Krimh Drums for the drums, and right, good stuff. So yeah, like I said, you can see that there's no processing. If you look in the upper left corner here, there's no plugins on the individual channels for the drums. There's just amp knob, or a bass knob, I'm sorry, for the bass. And then I apologize for the coughing. One of these days I won't be sick. On my drum bus, excuse me. On my drum bus, I'm using L1 by Waves. It's just to make it a little bit louder and kind of squash it. And then I am using Soothe, but in the nature of this video, I try to use presets as much as possible just to prove a point. Like, you can get this done. And I think it's important in a world where content creation is king, because what you're about to hear isn't something that I would necessarily try to release to Spotify tomorrow. Like, I wouldn't call this a done mix, but I think there's a difference between professional mix to release for consumption through Spotify and that sort of thing versus posting your riffs and, just trying to grow as a musician. So I am using Soothe, but that's it. And then for the buses, I'm going to come back to some of these. This is my DAW audio out, so you don't need to worry about that as much. For the bass bus, I am using bass glue from the Joel Wanasek bus glue pack. And yes, I am boosting some mid grit. I don't think, excuse me, that it's hyper necessary. It's just a preference thing. I happen to have it. I did use it. But so in the interest of being transparent, yes, that is on there. Now, for rhythm guitars, this plugin is sick. It's a little expensive for anyone that is just starting out. If anyone's serious about their mixing or their tracks though, and kind of wanting things to sound really cool, this is like a vibe machine. It's got 4 bands of EQ. It's got a low cut and a high cut, which I am currently using. It's got this wonderful processing button in the middle that I personally think makes every amp sim instantly sound way better. It's just like a cheat code. And then this is an attenuation for upper mids. I'm using it to where it cuts out 3 different frequencies, as you can see here. It's got a handy little thing to let you know what it's doing. So this is sympathetic frequencies. and it's like cutting around like 2.2 or something. And then on the back, we've got oversampling. These two, they have a thing that explains what they do. I do it by ear. It's a taste thing. It just kind of like helps the mids and the highs sound a certain way. And then this is like a dynamics processor specifically for chomping down on things like palm mutes. I can't show you because it's currently running through my mastering chain. I could show if it was playing the track back, but the point is, it's like setting a compressor that reacts to bass heavy parts. So it's really good for helping to control your palm mutes. So for the tones, we've got amp knob and frequency. Frequency, real quick, is a Cubase EQ. So whatever DAW you've got, you've probably got an EQ. You can probably do something similar. I'm doing a low cut. I'm doing a high cut. I'm doing some controlling of the mids and a slight boost in some of the low mids, like 500 frequency. And then I'm doing a small boost to like the 1000. It's like 2 or 3 dB. It's not that much. It's just to help kind of make that particular part, which is literally 2 different times in the song, stand out. That's the whole point of there. Same thing for this track. Excuse me. Amp knob frequency. I apologize. I'm still sick. It will eventually go away. So for the ambient tracks, we've got amp knob with a little less gain. Anywhere from 0.5 up to like this 1.1 area, according to their metric. And then they don't do reverb at Bogren Digital yet. Given time, they might do like a reverb knob. So I'm using Krimh Audio's micro digital reverberator. This thing is sick. It was a really cool thing that they put out. So I used that for some vibe. I've got that on 2 different tracks. Over here, I've got Oral Verb, which is made by Audio Assault. And you can usually get this between $5 and like $10. They send out emails every once in a while when they're running a sale. It's a cool plugin for like a taste of reverb. And that's amp knob again. As you can see, this one's got the gain pushed up a little bit more. And then over here, I used a compressor. This is BX Opto Pedal by Brainworks. I got this for free a really long time ago. I don't know if it's free anymore. I actually don't even know if they sell this anymore. But it's a cool plugin. But to be honest with you, you can do this with just about any compressor. You could do it with whatever's built into your DAW. I just happen to like it and reach for it. So there's that. Amp knob again. As you can see, the gain set the way it needs to be set for that particular track. And then I used Eventide's Black Hole. This is a really crazy sounding reverb. I really like it. If you like the sound of it, I use it on a tapping section here. Like, I forgot to set solo defeat. Real quick, this is what the tapping sounds like with it on. And you can see the way that it just tails off. Very cool. So, yes, I could not do every single thing in this track with Bogren Digital, but I used it as much as possible. For the lead track, once again, just amp knob. And then for the rhythm guitars, this is where things get a little different. I've got Gojira. I am only using Gojira for the wow pedal. And literally, it's only being used right here. There's a big drop that I used to push on the back of my neck on my guitar, but it didn't get as low as I wanted it to, so I started using a plugin to do it. And then we go into this. This is Dr. Drive by Audiority. If you would like a free Horizon Devices emulation, I wouldn't say it's 1-to-1, but it's really cool. And I used it for this example because I wanted to show something that's free. I think amp knob by itself sounds amazing, but for the type of riff that I'm playing, I needed it to be just a little bit tighter. And so this was the coolest way to do that because I wanted to show something that, like, if you see this video and you're like, man, I want to be able to do something like that, but I don't really want to buy another plugin on top of, all the other plugins that I already want to buy. This is cool. So it's essentially a precision drive. It's got a gate built in. It's got some other options and stuff. I've got a little bit of the gate being used. Got the attack pushed all the way up. The drive is almost all the way down. And then bright and level are pushed up just a smidge. And that runs into amp knob, which I'm pushing up towards their They're notched there. And then because I didn't want to use the cab, yeah, it's X'd out. Okay. I didn't want to use the cab because I didn't think that it fit exactly right for my rhythm tone, but I wanted to keep in the spirit of Bogren Digital. So I'm using their Saucy and Erotic from their Downtuned pack. It's a very good pack. It's affordable. If you need some IRs that cover a lot of ground, I would highly recommend trying to pick that pack up. I am using the preamp section. The reason for that is I just like the way it adds extra grit that isn't there, and it fits my particular style. This Torpedo Wall of Sound, if you buy 1 or 2 packs, they're like $7 a piece, through their store, you get this impulse response loader for free. It's got a lot of cool options in it. It's got EQ. It's got an exciter, compression. It's even got reverb. So, if you buy an IR pack through them, this is a great tool to have because you can add this like preamp stuff to like your already baked IRs. It's not really necessary. It's just cool. Excuse me, it's a cool option. And that's the rhythm tone. That's both of them. Same thing. And so the tone that I'm currently playing through, same concept. All the exact same plugins. I'm even using the Gojira so that way whenever I play along to the song, it will automatically do the pitch shift part for me. But if you want to hear what the rhythm tone sounds like, so real quick, just to kind of get the point across. I'm going to set this back to what it would be like if you were just running amp knob. Personally, I think that's awesome. I think it already sounds really good. It does a lot for a plugin that literally just tells you to turn the gain knob and you're good to go. I really apologize for the coughing, y'all. So I just made some changes that made sense for me personally. And what you end up with is this. I don't think it changed that much. I think it just adds a certain characteristic that I really like. And I'm glad that I was able to do it with a free plugin. So that way anybody who sees this can go track that down and use that for themselves. So let's get into the track. This is going to be my playthrough before I do an official playthrough that I will upload to YouTube and all my other socials separately. So this is what it sounds like together. Here we go. So as you can see, personally, I think that sounds good. I don't believe that it's necessarily something that should get released to Spotify tomorrow. But in an age of content creation, I think that removing as many obstacles as possible is a great way to approach things. And so I definitely will do things like this in a hurry. I'm able to write riffs. Excuse me. I'm able to write riffs pretty quickly, but it wouldn't be without the tools that I have available to me. And so if you are struggling to get a tone that you just like to play through, then I would suggest checking out the Bogren Digital stuff. Um, I personally am a tweaker. I like to tweak with settings. I like to change things. I like to try new tones. So I'm always collecting new plugins, and I imagine a lot of us are the same. But if you just want something that sounds good right away, this is a great thing to have in your back pocket. So I hope that was cool. I hope you guys liked it. I hope you liked the song. I hope to do more with that song in the future. But I am going to go ahead and wrap up the video here. So if you made it this far, thank you. If you have made it this far and have not done so yet, please follow the YouTube channel and click the bell icon, because that stuff really does help the channel grow. And I would love to grow this channel. So hopefully I will see y'all soon. Take it easy.